Okay, so hi, welcome to all of you. Um, Welcome to the Revolution Education Congress. Today, my name is Mariana Vélez. I am a high school student at 10th grade in Gimnasio Los Cabos. Today, we are with Joseph Hindogboe and with Mari Salazar as a guest. So, hello, I'm glad to see you. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you, Mariana.
Thank you, Mariana. It's a pleasure to connect.
It's a pleasure. So, for first instance, I will be introducing our guests. So, first of all, we have our guest, Joseph Hinugo. Joseph is an attorney at the law firm Brief and Co-Solicitors in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He focuses in practice on contract drafting, litigation and negotiation, as well as corporate and contract drafting, nonprofit management. He has collaborated on various initiatives with Rotary International Leaders, World Vision SL, the Project USA, World Hope International, Concerned Worldwide SL, Global Girl Project UK, and Talking IT Global Canada. He is also an associate fellow of the Royal Commonwealth Health Society and co-founder of Sierra Leone Rising Kusuoa Foundation. Hindo has also consulted for the PAT Projects, a US-based nonprofit organization that earned an Academy Award for Best Documentary. As an attorney or legal practitioner, Hindo has reviewed contracts for Sierra Leone National Review Authority and the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, SLRSA, provided legal options for Sierra Leone Ports Authority and private companies, and represented the National Insurance Company, SLRSAA, and private individuals in court. As co-founder of Kusuoa Foundation, Sierra Leone Rising, Hindo has successfully collaborated, managed, and achieved projects goals such as lead a team of 36 that reached 45 million people in 236 villages with Ebola cessation and mobilization. Also supervised the construction of wheels, water tower, classrooms, staff quarters, libraries, and establishment of computer literacy programs. Also coordinated online exchange programs by way of video calls and pen pal exchange between schools in Sierra Leone and the USA schools, the Girls Middle School, Palo Alto, Francisco Middle School, Town School for Boys, Overcombe School, LA, Berkeley, Brooklyn, New York, and Parrish Episcopal School in Texas. Also coordinated international scholarship and exchange programs for 3 girls from Sierra Leone, 1 to Canada College, and 2 to Nepal. He also set up an agricultural project by way of sending distribution, fosters environmental protection, economic empowerment, and livelihood and local ownership. So, well, this is our first guest. He is Hindo, and we're very, very glad to have you in this conference. And now we have Mari Salazar. Maris has 25 years of experience as progressive educator in the United States and internationally. Maris was the founding head of school of 2 schools as well as school designer who helped direct writing of Common Core curriculum on the New York State. As director of teaching and leading at Graded, the American School of Sao Paulo, she helped lead school change initiatives around competency based on assessment, project-based curriculum, and review and development, school training as a professional development, and student support services. She currently serves as founding head of school at Avante Global School in Cartagena, Colombia. So, Amaris, it's a pleasure to have you here. Nice to meet you. And well, hopefully, let's begin this Congress.
Thank you so much, Mariana. That was great. Well, Hindo, it's phenomenal to see you again. You were with us in Colombia at our last Revolution in Education Congress there in Chia. And it's fantastic to see you again, although virtually right now. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since that time, and what are some things that you are currently doing that you're really excited about, that you're involved with right now.
Thank you very much, Maris. I really appreciate this invitation, and once more again to be a speaker on this event, and I feel honored and privileged to join you again this time. And after our conference in 2019, when I returned to Sierra Leone, I still continue doing the good work as usual. And one of the groundbreaking projects we have been working on is actually menstrual hygiene management for girls in school. So in 2017, when we realized that 24% of girls were absent from school because of menstrual challenges, that is, some cannot afford sanitary products, and as a result, the mixed classes and sometimes the mixed exams. So we started producing reusable sanitary pads, and we've partnered with Days for Girls International, and presently we partner with the Power Project in the USA, and then also we're working with Concern Worldwide in Sierra Leone. And we have reached over 5,000 girls with reusable sanitary pads that last for a minimum of 2 to 4 years. And that has actually helped to improve on the number of girls who are attending school. It has also ensured that in our menstrual health management sessions, we also include boys to participate. That is, we encourage boys to ask questions about menstruation. We also encourage them to participate and then be part of the dialogue with the girls, so that they will definitely understand that the situation that girls go through or their menstrual period is a biological situation. It's not something that should be treated in isolation, or they should be discriminated for it. So we are including them to be part of the conversation. We're also including teachers and also parents. We also started organizing community sessions. We encourage fathers and also the boys and everybody who is part of that community to be part of the conversation. And given my participation in last year, 2021, I was appointed as a consultant for washable pad programs through the pad project. And basically, I help other washable pad programs supervise other partners across the world, and to see that they are able actually to develop certain modalities to ensure that girls stay in school, and to ensure that it's a conversation wherein everybody is participating. So it has been a lot of good thing, especially in the area of education. It has created a lot of expansion and actually creating some form of convenience for the girls to be in school during their period. We've also been working with Rotary Club International. Rotary Club is one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the world, and we're also working to support students in college and in high schools, and also people in community through our WASH program. That is, we're providing clean water in communities and in schools as a support to students and also community members living in different communities, to ensure that people are healthy, and that students who are living in university hostels have access to clean water, so that they can actually study and concentrate, so they don't have to hustle or move from one place to the other to fetch water. And we have been also working on expanding on our computer literacy programs in schools. To me, it's very important to ensure that young people today are actually empowered with digital skills, which can actually make them empowered or see the strength in sharing information, to see how they can use technology to do different problem-solving skills. And in early 2000, when I acquired basic computer skill, actually gave me the opportunity, or the privilege and the responsibility, to like take the lead in different issues. Like when we have the pandemic, the Ebola outbreak in Sierra Leone, I was able to access information, and it was very difficult for me to reach out to people to actually demonstrate the reality, the truth, and actually also to collaborate with people in different parts of the world. So technology, it's really crucial in this century because it connects people from different parts of the world. It also makes people to collaborate to talk about different challenges within their localities, and they come up with solutions. So it's not independently happening for anybody across the world. So we're working on expanding on that. We're still expanding in different other schools to ensure that students actually acquire digital skills. And not only that, I've also been working in the space of financial literacy programs. That, I mean, students are basically not taught most of the time how to manage resources, and also how they can come up with ideas to say, okay, this is what is happening in my space or in my community or in my household. What can I do about it? And so those driving questions that keeps coming up has actually helped to break a lot of barriers and to see how we can explore different possibilities. And in 2019, I realized that people need to travel from my community, like they have to ply on motorbikes in a dusty, bumpy roads to the nearest city to do basic photocopying and printing of documents, or even to laminate, because it's not available in the schools. So I said, oh, if we can get a photocopier, we can get a printer, we can set up a small business, which can actually help to solve this challenge of traveling and spending resources to move from one place to another. So we set up that, and at the moment it's serving about 63 schools, and it's serving a population of over 45,000 people, so they don't need to travel. And we've also introduced international money transfer system, wherein also you can live anywhere in the world, you can send money to your relative in the local areas where internet is difficult to access, and then they can come to our center. It's known as a solution center, where we adopt different solutions or challenges people face within their community. So we also have that. It's a sustainable approach in everything that we do, in terms of global empowerment, in terms of creating global citizenship, in terms of creating collaboration, in terms of empowering people with different solving skills, sustainability. It's really very key in our work. And because we use resources and we collaborate, we want to be independent and self-reliant. So we are creating those solutions, and those solutions are keeping things going, like local generation of ideas and also resources, to see how we can continue to work on different challenges. And we're also exploring that and empowering other young people with the different ideas. They see how it works. And so even people who cannot acquire college education, there is something that they can do to create impact. There is something that they can create or do to solve their own basic challenges, that there's something that they can do to make a living, and there is something that they can do to keep their community healthy. There is also something that they can do to make the global space useful to them, and to play their own role as they are interested or what they are passionate about doing. So in addition to that, I also have an orchard program, this agriculture, wherein it's a fruit farm where I've planted different fruits for the future, all in the idea of sustainability. So somebody, if we have so many coconuts or other things that bear fruits, somebody can pick that, you can sell it and make a living out of it. And we're also distributing seedlings. We're also working in that space to ensure that we have environmental protection reasons. So we are encouraging people to focus in planting fruits with commercial viability. So it can also help to protect the environment and also climate change. And in all of that, and also in the area of sustainability, I've also working tirelessly as a lawyer, as an attorney, in representing the less privileged people who cannot afford, and to see how an answer can be made available to them, to see how an advice about something they do not understand is made available to them, to see people who are taking advantage of them in court. Within the judiciary, they have been represented and they have been heard and they are given the privilege to maintain justice. And all of this to ensure that we create a peaceful society where everybody has space to explore and to make a difference and to be happy and peaceful.
Wow, is that all, Hindo? You don't seem old enough to have had so many impactful projects around the world, but really impressive. I knew of many of those projects that you had done in the past, but it's great to hear them again. And it has me thinking about, you know, in the world of education, we're always thinking about how do we help students develop skills in order to be able to achieve the kinds of things that you've achieved. So what skills do you think, Hindo, that you've had to develop and strengthen in order to achieve the success with these projects, these impactful projects that are making a difference in the world? What skills in specific do you think you've had to develop?
Basically, one is to acquire the skill of technology, which is very important, and also leadership, where you have to bring yourself in a position as a servant to listen and also ask questions and also see how you can collaborate. Value everybody within the space, like, oh, we want you to be part of this, oh, we want you to be part of this. And also sometimes you also need to have space that you can think about a challenge, because it's very easy when you're given, this is the task, like responsibility, the skill of exposing responsibility or challenge to student, like this is the situation, this is the challenge, how can we do it? And once students have been exposed to a situation like that, it's actually prepares their mindset and see how they can come up with different solutions, and also to explore different possibilities to see that, oh, this is addressed through partnership and by way of demonstrating leadership.
It has me thinking about schools now and in the future, and what do you think that they should look like in order to create these spaces for students to be able to think, explore, design, develop? What should schools look like?
Schools should look like more of a place wherein students are given the opportunity to explore solutions, and students are also given the opportunity to be heard on things that are right or wrong, and also given the opportunity wherein people in different experts who are expert in different areas to come and share their experiences, and also give the opportunity to those students to ask questions. And we should also prepare the minds of students to realize that what the future should look like. If we are talking of how climate change, how global pandemics will affect the world in the future, the government space should be made available to them to actually ask questions and then also explore with stakeholders within their community. So the school environment should not just be a place where students are given information or passed on knowledge to memorize and to give back, but to pass on knowledge that comes with a challenge or a question that actually drives them to provide an answer, that also drives them to speak up, that also drives them to see how valued other people are within their class and outside of their class, and also give them the opportunity how questions can actually drive them to reach out to other people to see that they create a space that brings them peace and joy and well-being.
So true. The world has changed considerably in the past 2 years. Not only the global pandemic, but the conflict that we continue to see in various parts of the world. How do you see this impacting education globally?
Basically, it's not something that's really very cool in the area of education because it creates a lot of challenges. Like, for instance, now because there's a war in Ukraine, there are fierce scarcity here in Israel, which is creating challenge for mobility, even for students from going to school. So we have to see how we can bring to the classroom to teach peace, and also have children explore the relevance of peace and the different approach to achieving peace in not only in the society but also in the global space. Because like all my time I was in school, I was never taught conflict resolution or how to achieve peace. So it's like, oh, there's conflict, I have no idea how to go about it, I have nothing. But once we begin to prepare the mind, because these are all possibilities that will happen in the future. So like we are talking about environment, we are talking about peace, we are talking about sustainability, and those models needs to be included in the curriculum, and we should be giving challenges to students, like in like a group work, to say, oh, there is a dispute between XYZ, and this is what is happening. How can we solve this? And if it is not solved, how will it affect not only those who are actually in the conflict, but how can it affect me, that I am not part of the conflict? And if that conflict is resolved, how relevant will it be to them or to me? And then you begin to see that there will be some kind of calmness. There will be useful approach in the use of resources, in terms of exploring or using resources to go to war and destroy lives. I mean, there is no benefit in that. I don't see any benefit in taking lives and destroying properties. And when lives are taken and properties are, life is not replaced, properties are destroyed, but it has to take time again, which collapse or create a lot of challenges in the other sectors. So children actually should, peace building should actually form part of their exploration. That is, they should be given different contexts of driving questions or challenges of, and the issue of peace does not only mean that there has to be a war. There could be no peace. There could be no war, but there's no peace. So peace actually explore in the area of positivity. How can students explore positivity? What are positive things to do?
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on, and it makes me think of some of the projects, Mariana, that you have been a part of at Caobos, right? So, Mariana, do you have a question for our guest, Hindo?
Well, actually, when you were talking about technology and how you needed to implement in these communities, like I have the question of how this new world for these people help them, like how technology impact their lives.
Technology is impacting lives in so many ways, because it makes it very easy to connect with people across the world, and it also make opportunities available. Like, you want you're looking at something that you don't have access to. You can simply use technology to explore those opportunities, and it also helping to create that kind of global space wherein you can connect within a very short time, ask questions, and it's assisting to break so many barriers in terms of building relationship and cutting down on cost, wherein you have to engage in for a meetup.
Yeah, that is true. And the barriers, like before technology, were a big issue we had, but with the technology, I think these communities could be like so benefit from that. And regarding what Marius was saying about the projects, like here in Calvos, we make every year with every like kind of concepts learning class. You were talking about giving guiding questions and like some elements to these people to create projects to benefit their community. So how does this works and how like they apply these things?
Basically, for instance, what we have been doing is when students are engaging in pen pal exchanges, they ask questions. What is it like over there? What is it like? And they really get a sense of idea of a global perspective. Like when you talk about African, people think it's all lions and if they are humans living there. And so those questions really open, and it opens a perspective in their mind to see the other parts of the world and what lives look like. And when they realize that, oh, there are serious things that we need to discuss, sometimes you don't know what are the challenges here. And you only get to know when you connect with people, probably by way of technology. And sometimes people assume a lot, like the West, everybody is rich, it's all money there. Unlike you connect and then you see the reality, and then your perspective change. And so you know what are the dynamics and the different approach you should explore in terms of dealing with situation. So basically, in a process where we have been having students to do video conferences, and they realize that, oh, we have to address this. This is like a global problem. It's happening in Australia, it's happening in US. So let's come up with an idea. And they come up with their own idea that is feasible for them, and they work on it. And at the end of the day, they feel satisfied and fulfilled, and they feel connected, and their minds are open. And it changes their attitude and their behavior in thinking what it is like when they don't know because of a single story. That's what Africa is. But you've not really heard from somebody from Africa, and so you really it's closed. So that's how technology comes in to break those barriers and then have people collaborate to bring up solutions that can benefit their space.
Hindo, your conversation about barriers has me wondering, what advice would you give to school leaders or teachers who are saying to themselves, well, but in order for us to connect across the world, there are cultural barriers, language barriers, time, we're in different time zones, access, like the access to technology, and also religion in some cases. So what advice would you give to educators in terms of dealing with those barriers in order to create those opportunities for students to work together?
Basically, there are a lot of educators now across the world that are traveling from different parts of the world and teaching, or some are acting as consultant. To me, is the responsibility of school leaders to connect with those global educators who are like working with multiple schools to see how teachers can collaborate to make that kind of unified teaching skills in the area of pedagogy, to see what questions you will be asking, what approach. I mean, it's tricky because there are different consultants and different global educators across the world that believe in certain things, and others agree, so others disagree. But at the end of the day, what is more important, it's what we want for the students, and what we and how we can provide that need that makes a better future for them. And so in all of those agreement and disagreement is to identify a core area that school leaders should be given the opportunity. Like, I want to connect with a school leader in Africa or in Europe or in Asia or in America. Let me learn from him or her. Let's discuss what we are doing, how we are doing it. And so by the time you explore different, you discuss different challenges or different dialogue with different school leaders, you have a holistic idea, and then you begin to see how you can actually bring all of this together to make a sense out of it and make use of that which you're doing, and also how they can be of advice to you, and also how you can be of advice to them. So, because the thing is creating a global space that creates some form of equality. So we don't have somebody living Africa and going to the US, and it's like he or she cannot make it because the kind of education he or she went through. But once we have that kind of global exploration to connect with educators who can connect us with all the teachers or school leaders across the world, it can actually change our perspective. It can actually open our minds to see, what can I bring to my school that can actually open the minds of my students? What can I bring to my school that can actually make my students think big and to explore certain challenges that are happening, not only in their own space, but there's a likelihood that it will happen in their own space.
So it's all about mindset.
Yes, it's all about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
What do you feel are the most important skills, or some of the most important skills and abilities that will be necessary in the future for students, not only for success and however it is that you define that success, but also for happiness? We've talked a lot about, in the past couple of years, balance, right? So what are those skills that we should really be helping students to develop?
Basically, going back to technology and also social media ethics, it's very important. And then information management, it's also important. And having a kind of global citizenship wherein you have make relevant connections across the world. So you're faced with a difficult question, you can explore that. Collaboration, we have to acquire skills on how we can collaborate, and we also need to see how we can come up with driving questions. This can actually open the minds of students. And cultural dynamics. For instance, there are things that are taboos in Africa that you can talk about, like female genital mutilation. Like in some areas in Africa, you can talk about that. And so it's a matter of understanding that if I am connecting, what do I need to know? What is proper, what's not proper? Like there are a few times I have sent text messages and it gives a different meaning to people in the West. And what I am trying to say, it gives a different meaning to them because of the use of language and the cultural differences. Sometimes it makes it really difficult to collaborate. So basically, those are the things that the skills that we really need in our space.
Thank you for that. Mariana, your turn.
Okay, I just have like a big question. You were talking about the future and how like teachers or educators should help their students to build the future. So what are like the main tools or skills an educator should use to help like creating the future of its students?
What's like what?
What's like the tools or the skills an educator should apply to help a student build its future?
Basically, one major skill is for educators to actually create a free space. Make a free space for your student. make a free space wherein you don't have to tell the student that you don't have to tell them what they should do at all times. You know, that's another thing. And let the student also come up with what they think is right and what they think makes sense to them, and how educators can make that very relevant. Because sometimes students can come up with ideas and they say, oh no, this is not what it should look like, and that student will feel insecure, that student will be disempowered, that student will feel like, oh, I shouldn't say anything again because I was like, my idea was wrong, so I think if I come up with anything, it's going to be wrong. It's a matter of creating space for students with whatever they are coming with, even if it's not relevant at that moment, but how we can keep that and to ensure that it's useful in the space, and then to feel like they are part of the learning process and they are contributing. So that's we have to create the space wherein contributions are made relevant, and also students will come up with what they think is right and how things should be done. So it's a matter of exploring skills where we can create space in the classrooms and also outside of the classrooms, and to see how students can explore their ideas and their thoughts.
Okay, I just want to highlight something you just told or said about the insecurity of the students. And it is an issue that it's very present in many persons. So how you can give security to a student, how you can give it support to tell, okay, your ideas are correct. You don't have to feel insecure of yourself.
Basically, just like what I was saying is, if it's not right at that moment, you can make it right at some point. And it should be like no wrong or right answers. It should be like, oh yes, that is very true. And what do you think about this? So it's not like and one of the ways when we were in school that actually kept us like participating, it's you say something and then the teacher asks the other students, oh, give him a round of applause, no matter how wrong it is. So that builds confidence to the student feel, oh, I've said something right. Even though you as a tutor, you know that, oh, that was not really the right thing, but he has said something needs to be applauded. And there are students who do not want to be heard at all. They don't want to talk in class. Not that they don't have the best of ideas and they don't want to say, they're just shy, you know. And how can we create space for those students? It's basically to ask them, why do you think it's, oh, they'll tell you that, oh, I don't like talking in public. I'm not like that by nature. They are introverts. You know, and then how can we create a space for them? You have to be able as an educator to identify their strengths. Like, okay, I know this student it's shy away when you ask him a question, he or she feels broken. So if I know that's how you are, but it's something you are good at, we'll explore all of those. And when it is time that if I ask you a question and you feel really down that you don't want to come to the class, I'm not going to continue asking you questions. But if I know that you're good at writing and you like to draw and you like to show that that's your strength, we will always try to make space for that, because that brings you joy, that brings you confidence. And once you're creating that space of confidence to see that, okay, this is his or her challenge, we'll keep working on this is his strength, we'll keep exploring it. You realize that at some point that student will be on board, just like the extrovert. And that makes the learning process really complete and exciting for everybody. It's a difficult thing. It's tricky. It's a whole lot of things wherein educators should like go to their classroom and sit down and not say anything and like observing their students and what they are doing, like having fun and see what they will come up with, what will be their reactions. Then you begin to really know how you can place them in your mind and how you can place or provide space for them.
So, Hindo, You've had so many incredible projects, so many incredible ideas, and I imagine that your head is always full of them. So what's next? What's your next big project? Can you give us a preview of what it is you'd like to begin to work on, or some of the ideas that you have moving forward?
Basically, one of the things that I'm working on is to create a sustainable approach towards ending menstrual stigma and also making sanitary products available and affordable to every girl. Like wherever you are in the world, you have it. Whenever you need it, you have it. You have access to it. You can afford it. That's one. It's a major thing, and I'm working with people in Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, India, in Asia, in the US. And that's like one thing we're working on. We're also working on a solar lantern project. I have 500 solar lanterns that we recently secured. Like there are students in communities that have no electricity. So like after school, during the day, they're going to their farms, and when they come back home, there's no light. So you go to sleep. You're not studying, you're not having fun in the evening and something. So we're also providing solar lanterns for students. And we're also creating small businesses, like also giving the mindset to people that we have 100 printing businesses in the urban areas, and it's crowded, there's huge competition. And there are over 500 rural communities that need that service that's not there, and bringing that to the attention of people that, oh, there's an opportunity there and you can explore it, which will create employment for a lot of young people, which will create some form of local generation of resources to support what we are doing wherever people are. And also to continue to be part of the education journey, to see how I can work with educators and be part of an opinion pool that does not really have to do with expertise, but has to do with really innovation. And innovation has to come with driving questions. And because if you ask me, how can you do this? And once I think and I come up with something that is really new, it's giving birth to innovation. So I want to create that space. And one way by doing that is to connect with educators, to talk with students to see how that opportunity can be, because it has really helped me in so many ways. Like it has created a lot of progress for me. It has created like a huge space, a huge recognition for like the new things that I come up with solution. Has actually created me, make me really a little bit very, I can't say powerful, but recognized, and also giving me that space to be listened to by people. And it also has given me some kind of trust in my society. And so that kind of idea should be brought to the classrooms, and see how we can create that kind of empowerment for people, and see how different strengths and weaknesses can be joined together to create a better space.
Thank you for that, Hindo. Mariana, do we have any live questions?
No, I was just checking, and no, we're not having.
Okay, great. Do you have one last question for Hindo before we close?
Well, actually, I was wondering if this like new project you told us about, which community is more focused on? You told about many nations and countries, but like in which specific country are you focusing?
I'm living in Sierra Leone, and most of my work have been done here. And at the moment, I'm now working in different other countries, including the US and Asia. And because my primary it's Sierra Leone, that's where I'm living, and it's really there's so many lacking opportunities. And whilst we're trying to bring things together, and we're learning, we're sharing those ideas for other countries, and we're creating that kind of collaboration. It's really, but it's the world at large. Yeah.
Well, Hindo, always so fascinating, always so impressive to see really just how much you have done and how much you have impacted and continue to impact, and can't wait to see where you continue to lead in your future journey, because I know it's full. So thank you so much for being with us today on the Revolution in Education Congress webinar. And I can't wait to hear the rest of what you're doing in the future.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.